This is Stephen E. Arnold. DarkCyber is our second series of videos about online access related to the dark web, cybercrime, and lesser-known internet services. This week's story lineup includes nano surveillance devices, the value of your Fullz, Coinbase and the United States Secret Service, SIM limits, a hacker how-to from Microsoft, and Twitter, its security or lack of it. Now our July 28th, 2020 program. Surveillance technology is undergoing an acceleration, and more miniaturization is coming. A University of Washington research team assembled a research device that weighs 250 milligrams. That's slightly more than a 1-carat diamond. The camera transmits up to 5 frames per second, and it can be pivoted to produce panoramic images. Camera movement is achieved via SMM, or shape memory materials. Made of special polymers, SMMs alter their shape when an electrical stimulus is applied, producing the camera pivoting. Other innovations in the 250 milligram device include a 10 milliamp battery, a miniaturized piezoelectric actuator, a boost converter, and an off-the-shelf low-power image sensor, and there's a Bluetooth 5 chip. The research team has mounted the device on a beetle, but further miniaturization will allow the camera to be affixed to flying insects. The surveillance device can operate for up to 6 hours. Applications for such a surveillance device range from covert activity to public safety applications like monitoring protests. A cyber research firm revealed that a dark web vendor was selling millions, maybe billions, of compromised financial accounts. With a glut of Fullz, or personal financial data files, what is your identity worth? Privacy Affairs tries to answer this question with its Dark Web Price Index 2020. The company scanned and crawled dark web markets and reported its findings. You can acquire credit card details for an account with a balance of up to $5,000 for $20 US. A hacked Twitter account was just $49. If you want to kill a website, a 24-hour denial of service attack sending 50,000 requests a second is a mere $60. Canadian passports and red EU documents fetch $1,500 US. Malware attacks are offered for $1,400 to $6,000. Some contraband sellers guarantee that 8 out of 10 stolen credit cards will pay off as advertised. Counterfeit currency is also available at a 30% discount from face value of the banknotes. One enhancement is that some counterfeiters offer a UV pen test guarantee. DarkCyber wants to point out that buying contraband may be illegal. At an international conference several years ago, I spoke with a representative of a company called Neutrino. This was a startup, and the person in the booth was very pleasant. He was just hired and knew very little about the de-anonymization of digital currency. At the conference, rumors circulated that Neutrino's DNA had some links to a hacking outfit based in Italy. Several companies market Bitcoin de-anonymization services to government entities. For example, Chainalysis, Elliptic, and CipherTrace. I forgot about Neutrino until Coinbase bought Neutrino in February 2019 and reshuffled the Neutrino team, discarding some people and keeping others. Then in 2020, Coinbase, according to The Block, an online information service, sold the acquired neutrino technology to the U.S. Secret Service. The USSS does more than protect the President of the United States. The enforcement agency is actively involved in investigating a range of financial and electronic-based crimes, terrorism, and human trafficking. One former Department of Treasury professional confided in me that the USSS is one of the top cybercrime outfits in the world. He said maybe they're better than the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA. Coinbase's deal with the USSS sparked some social media commentary, and apparently in response, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, suggested that the USSS deal helps Coinbase recover costs and build relationships with law enforcement, which is important to growing crypto. DarkCyber's view is that blockchain de-anonymization is an important investigative activity, but some of the methods are still immature. With more than half of the Bitcoin transactions believed to be for illegal activities, demand for de-anonymization services is robust. Neutrinos have no mass and no electrical charge in the world of physics. Maybe Coinbase's neutrino solution will have some impact on wrongdoers. How many mobile phone SIM cards do you have? One? Maybe two? Many people are not aware that some mobile carriers and their resellers impose subscriber identification module limits. Imagine that you live in Cape Town, South Africa, and you want to launch a mobile phone scam. The first step is to acquire some mobile phones not linked to you, so one of the street markets might meet your needs. Then you need to activate the mobiles, and you'll want to launch your smish attack via SMS. In order to do this, you pop into a mobile phone storefront and ask if you can purchase 200 SIMs. You may be told no, and the reason is that MTN, Telkom, and Vodacom have limits on the number of SIMs that can be sold to an individual. Vodacom is the most generous of these vendors. You can buy up to 100 SIMs per customer. MTN and Telkom place a maximum of 10 SIMs per customer. This sounds like a limit, but it's not. Just get a friend to buy a batch of SIMs for you. DarkCyber believes that SIM purchase limits should be universal. And keep in mind that a bad actor who wants a phone can just do a grab and run. Microsoft operates a cyber intelligence unit, and that unit recently revealed what DarkCyber considers a system and method for a particular type of malware. Online news sources picked up this report and recycled it in articles like How FinSpy Protects Itself from Security Researchers. Now, this malware allegedly originates with a specialized services firm doing business as FinFisher. One of the FinFisher products is FinSpy. The report explains that this particular malware unit is like an evil piñata, which releases a number of software packages, and each does something that makes it difficult to figure out exactly what is happening. Explanatory roadmaps like Microsoft's may help some deal with this malware. But on the other hand, reports like this one provide a roadmap for bad actors. DarkCyber's view is that some types of information fan the flames of a cyber fire and may do more harm than good. If you're curious about how this malware works, you can find the document at the URL shown on your screen. The Twitter hack was originally rejected by the DarkCyber research team. Then the scope of the failure became more evident, piece by painful piece. Large social media companies and their snafus are interesting. However, Twitter's response to the security breach warrants a few brief remarks. In a conversation with Robert David Steele, available at the link shown on your screen, the former CIA professional said, "You're upset about Twitter." Yes, I was, and I am. My reaction was sparked by three issues. Number one is that the security in place was compromised to such an extent that the bad actors were able to use Twitter's internal administrative tools. Second, those administrative tools allowed unauthorized and, as it turns out, authorized users to access personal messages, change account passwords, and email addresses. And lastly, the breach made clear that new age social media companies have to move beyond the "yo dude, we're so smart" approach to management and governance. This dude thinks that high school science club arrogance must be replaced with what DarkCyber calls adulting. Twitter and its cute but socially destructive tweet streams has demonstrated that mental adolescence is not appropriate, not mature, and not responsible. The time for a full-time CEO has arrived. And adults only, please. For more DarkCyber news and information, read Beyond Search, our free weblog about online services and sources. This is Stephen E. Arnold logging off. Disruptor.